to dig.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outlawed Thoughts episode 33. This is the midterms episode, but kind of not, because we're not really going to talk a ton about the midterms, but we will cover it. I'm here with CD, who's back from the dead over here. I guess I'm on the opposite side. And Kareem will be here soon. He is showing up again, but much like Josh last night, he's disappeared so far. Josh passed out on the couch before the show last night.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah, it was funny. We do
nothing will ever beat. I fell asleep on a podcast once, so
yes. I will be on the Swamp Creatures on, I believe it's Thursday, so I figure I'll give that a shout out. Their comeback episode for the show, so if anybody wants to join me, they can join me over there. Furthermore, we'll jump right into stories. We've got election stuff obviously going on, so we'll probably start with that. I saw you sent me this news story, which I think we'll actually start with because this was interesting. So this is Rick Scott doesn't rule out run for majority leader if GOP takes Senate. I'm not focused on anything except getting a majority Tuesday night, the National Republican Senatorial Committee chair said on NBC Meet the Press.
Well,
so this is the idea. Yeah, I know. But this is the idea that they would oust McConnell and sub in Rick Scott.
Correct. Which I think is important because it shows the breakup of the GOP. Mm-hmm. This is where it's happening. Like it's for real. Yeah. And listening to the coverages today talking about the midterms, just like referencing, the red wave or whatever. You can tell.
A couple of quick questions.
That's what this is. That's what this is really. That's what it shows. It shows the cracks in the cathedral. Anyway, yeah.
About your future. If Republicans gain the Senate majority, do you plan to run for leader?
I'm not focused on anything except getting a majority Tuesday night. Everybody wants to ask me about a bunch of things that are going to happen after Tuesday night. My whole focus is Tuesday night.
So leave it out there. It's a possibility.
Tuesday night.
It's a possibility. All right. If
I'm focused on what I get done Tuesday night.
Yeah, so I mean, clearly he's putting forward there that he's willing to do it and wants to. Scott appeared to take aim at McConnell on an op-ed published on the conservative news site, The Washington Examiner, in September. He wrote that many of the very people responsible for losing the Senate last cycle are now trying to stop us from winning the majority, this time by trash-talking our Republican candidates. Scott denied he was targeting McConnell when reporters asked him about it. So, definitely targeting McConnell. This is politician talk, but definitely seems like he's wanting to kind of sub in there and take over. I mean, McConnell's just such a fucking stooge that I feel like anybody can do that at this point on the Republican side. So,
but he's pretty protected.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing with him is he's very protected, just like Pelosi is very protected.
Yeah.
But I think he sees I'm telling you that it's like this is the DeSantis versus Trump, and the way everyone's talking is it's not going to be a Trump and DeSantis. It will be a Trump versus DeSantis.
No, it's definitely shaping up to be a fight. I know on last night's show we talked about Trump naming DeSantis, giving him his Ron DeSanctimonious, which is his pet name for DeSantis. And I think once you get the pet name, you can't be his VP. I feel like that's kind of how that works.
Yep,
So I think it's pretty much at this point, if DeSantis announces he's running, now that he's won in Florida, I think this is when he would do it, obviously. You know, we'll see. I think the Democrats are going to be pushing DeSantis to run because it makes sense, right? You get to fracture the Republicans but I don't know. I think DeSantis has a lot of support in Florida. I don't know how much that support goes nationally just because there's so many things that he hasn't ever handled before, which I think is something a lot of people like do care about, but they don't talk about them caring about, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that he'll resonate a lot with a lot of the country. We have a long way to go before the presidential election. We have a lot of ways that Trump can shoot himself in the foot again. And I think that DeSantis could pull a lot of people who think they're MAGA, but are not, but are teetering or like, yeah, well, I like Trump because I don't know who else to like. But if they knew about DeSantis, like really, like Floridians do, I think he would be successful in pulling MAGA, and that's where you're going to see the split. I think Democrats wanting him to run. I think that the establishment Republicans, the non-MAGAs, the rhinos, will be behind him, meaning that the Democrats are inherently behind him.
Right.
But at this point in his, governorship, I do believe that he could turn that, he could flip that, and he could tell those, and he would then be the crack between the rhinos and all the other Republicans, like, the people who are Democrats. And I think he would be the guy to say, I don't bow to you. Yeah. The scary part about the two of them going up against each other, and the part that I really hate for DeSantis that he should really start talking about now, is that I've heard multiple people, and I know you've heard this too, Trump dragged DeSantis over the finish line. If it wouldn't have been for Trump going to Florida that fateful weekend, he would have never won, blah, blah, blah.
Well, this election kind of proved that wasn't true.
So a lot of people still hold that true. I mean, I was just watching coverage and they brought that up, and I thought that was a good point. Like, he should start saying something now that, like, I did this on my own. Because you're right, he can do this on his own. He can use this. But Trump is going to yell at the top of his lungs that if it wouldn't have been for me, there would be no Ron DeSantis. Like, as if he's some, like, R&D for some record company. Like, if he wouldn't have found
it's guy. Trump will pretend like he's his PR manager,
Right. So anyway, that's my two thoughts, and that's why I thought the Rick Scott thing was cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it's interesting that if
it's definitely a step away from what you'd expect. I think to an extent. I wanted to talk about just some random clips and things I've seen along the whole shit show with election stuff. I saw this clip going around. This is long lines in Anthem, Arizona, with poll workers explaining that the machines are not working. So we'll react to this.
All right.
I know everybody wants to make sure that it reads and everything is fine.
Can you repeat that?
I can promise
Can you start from the beginning and repeat that?
So what happens is we have two tabulators. One of the tabulators is not working, okay? The other tabulator is taking about 75% successful. So 25% of them are being misread, and it could be a printer issue. or it could be the tabulator itself. So when it's misread, you have an option to put it into what's called box 3, and it gets read, whether it goes downtown and gets read manually, or whether it gets refed into our tabulator.
We don't want to adjudicate.
They get read, okay? So no one's trying to deceive anyone.
Of course not. Not on election day. That would never happen, right? No, that would never happen.
So choices are, you guys. Sure.
If I get up there and that happens to my ballot, can I take my ballot with me and go somewhere else?
You cannot leave these premises with a ballot. Sorry, and there's not like
because I don't trust to go in a box. The box may never make
No,
it down there.
no way.
All the time.
The choices.
I'll come back.
The choice is to wait until.
So they're explaining there that the machine, one of the machines is completely down, and the other machine is kicking back 20% of all the tickets. So they're putting him in a third box that, well, we'll take that one downtown and count it.
Get fucked. How about that? Get fucked.
I mean, it's like, to me, that's just a little fucking out there. Like, I saw this, Drew Hernandez shared a couple clips that I think were great from some of the news media here. This is one that I saw. This is MSNBC pushing leftist election result denial. Here we go.
This is the greatest indicator that we have to always talk about voter suppression. One key thing, it's almost 5 o'clock, right? In the state of Georgia, thanks to Brian Kemp and Raffensperger, they changed the state law so that you cannot get a provisional ballot in Georgia before 5 o'clock. So if you waited in line for 2.5 hours, got there, and they said, oh, there's some sort of mistake, you can't get a provisional ballot here. The level of voter suppression is beyond anything that we saw in 2018. So I think it's completely up in the air. There has been youth turnout at levels we haven't expected. Democrats feel confident. Republicans I've spoken to feel confident. But we can't say that whatever happens tonight is a fair and equitable election because there have been too many laws passed by election deniers to keep people from being able to express themselves.
So just straight up saying there, well, if we lose, we shouldn't rule out the fact that there's election. I mean, pretty fucking blatant, you know. Some of these clips are just.
We heard you. You know, we heard you. You said that. You said the quiet part out. Like you said that out loud.
I'll play this. This one was pretty great too. This is the stay off the internet one, I believe.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's don't get on social media. Trust us.
The simulation is great.
Man, we're keeping an eye on that one. That's good. But you see, that's our first votes, and that's the wonder of democracy, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. And I wanted to point that out to be a little bit of the crank in the room following Brianna there. Stay off social media, people. If you're trying to figure out, are there really issues with votings? Trust your local officials. Trust us here. Trust a news source that you know.
Trust us here.
And trust, to be honest about this, they're doing their jobs and they're doing it right. So what was Brianna just talking about?
They're doing their jobs and they're doing it right. Also, one of the election boxes isn't working and the other one is bumping back 20 of the votes every time. I mean, how the fuck do you get away from that? Hey, CD, your mic is like crackling a lot. Like clicking. I don't know if it just stopped. So I don't know if what you did it's good. Okay. Oh, it's doing it again. Is it something with your headphones or something maybe? I don't know, it's maybe the like earphone jack or something weird like that. Cuz I don't think it's
I don't have an earphone jack, they're Bluetooth.
Okay, I think you're good. I don't hear it anymore. Cool. It seems to be stopping every once in a while. We'll run.
My bad. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You're good. Okay. Yeah, but
she was talking about Cobb County, Georgia. That is right up here, just outside of Atlanta. It matters.
Yeah, but they're just. I mean, the idea that they're saying trust us, and then in the same breath, you're seeing a clip of them going, "Oh yeah, by the way, the thing's not working, and we're gonna have to send your votes over here to, take care of this."
Again, I don't know how you get away. Like you said, I don't know how you get away from you said it out loud. You said your part.
Straight out of the Stacey Abrams playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I see a Kareem popped up. Yeah. Oh Jesus. Noises. Well, we'll wait till he gets there. JC wrote a chat. Rob Bernstein made a good point. They're showing you how vital elections are by having volunteer soccer moms with no knowledge of voting machines handling it. Yeah, that is a great explanation. All right, I got this one. This is fun. This is a Snackle Brands makes big brand chips. Their power bills up $3 million to $9 million. So just listen to this little news clip because I thought it was hilarious.
Investigated using renewables to make the chips, but a report found to heat the oil in the fryer, they would have needed 200 acres worth of solar panels and equipment, and it would have only worked during the day.
We need gas. That's what it is at the moment. With the technologies that are available, we need gas.
The factory is smack bang in Energy Minister Chris Bowen's own electorate. This investigated
200 acres. 200 acres would be needed in solar panels, and it would only be able to run during the day.
Point is, we need gas.
We need gas.
I want to clip that. We need gas.
What is up, Leighton? Sorry,
I'm doing all right.
Been a little bit late, but hey, what's up, guys? Guess what?
Hey, Kareem. What?
Chicken butt.
We have gold on the map. Yeah, anarchy.
I saw that. I saw that on.
I got like so excited, people. I almost want to make like a huge, like, just rip off my shirt and do some push-ups. Be like, take that, Democrats. Take that, Republicans. Take that, like.
If you don't know, there was like 2% of the vote calculated in one state.
Yeah.
And that 2% had like 5 votes for the Libertarians, so it was gold for a while.
I'm like, yeah. I don't know why I'm so excited with that. I want to like run around and be like, this is everybody.
Can I just say, I was almost sucked into a whole Twitter thing earlier because I saw Dave Smith replying to some chick on Twitter, and then I clicked on her account, and we're gonna look at the tweet here, and we're gonna go through the process that my brain did. So this is the tweet in question. So she goes, so this is why no one likes comic Dave Smith. Okay, I get it now. I don't pay. So this same person called him a neocon, right? Which is like, this is just a retard, guys. It's okay. But I went to this person's account, right? Just gonna highlight that and let it soak.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I said. But then people are just
so this bitch is like calling out people's whether or not you should like somebody politically, and I'm just like, yeah, I just choose not to get my political advice from hookers. Like, that's just tends not to be how I do things. I'm gonna measure that off here, guys. So I thought that was pretty fucking funny. And of course, I went into the quote tweets and fucking there's Dave making pretty much that exact joke. And I'm like, God damn it. I was that close from quote tweeting it. And I was like, no, somebody's definitely already done this.
Yes.
Awesome.
Also, so yeah, that's cool. We got gold on the map. A Rothschild died. So, woo!
I heard about that.
So one lizard down. I don't think they'll be making Geico commercials anymore. But yeah, did you guys start talking about the midterms? Is that what we're gonna do? Like
we went through a bunch of clips and stuff revolving around some of it. I actually recently watched. I finally got around to watching that Shane Hazel debate with Abrams and them, and man, that guy fucking killed it.
Yeah, Shane's the man. Not all heroes wear capes, man.
That was great to watch.
Shane Hazel does.
We need an LP alpha male club or Misa.
That sounds like a horrible idea. Oculus founder Palmer Luckey created a VR headset that kills you if you die in the game. It's getting fucking real, boys. The VR billionaire really wants you to feel like you're in the game. Like, really. It's an old trope in a lot of dumb sci-fi movies that involve virtual reality. You die in the game, you die in real life. In said movies, characters get trapped in a video game and must play for their lives. If their avatar perishes, so do they. Well, it appears that someone has actually willed this trope into reality. This someone has created a VR headset that literally kills you if you lose a video game. Fun, right?
I mean, that's kind of funny. That's kind of cool. I mean,
Dear Santa.
Dear Santa. This creator is not just any old someone, but Palmer Luckey, the 30-year-old virtual reality wonderkin defense contractor, Trump funder, and co-founder of Oculus, the VR firm Facebook bought in 2014 for a cool $3 billion. Luckey dropped a blog post on Sunday explaining his weird new headset, which he claims is mostly a piece of office art for now, and included a picture of it as well. So you can see 3 little things coming out of there, and
oh my god,
weird shit. Yes, this thing will actually end your life. More specifically, it is rigged with bombs, so your head will explode.
What is wrong? I mean, part of me is like, what's wrong with them? Like, hey, free market capitalism. If you really want, I guess if people want to take that risk, I mean.
So
did you not just hear me write to Santa? Dear Santa, yes, this guy knows what's up. I get it. I understand. And the market answered.
I saw the one tweet, JC. I have plenty of porn, and I don't need to pay OnlyFans for it. That's the problem with fucking thoughts on Twitter is it's all a funnel to OnlyFans. It's all it is. It's the thought highway. Okay, I'm trying to look here what the best story to go next.
Also invited some friends did want to come on who are also anarchists. So.
Yeah, they can, if they pop in, I'll let them on. I'm just going for about an hour tonight because I got to get food and stuff.
Come on, this is the midterms, man. We got to go all night until Shane Hazel's
I got work.
No one's going to work until Shane Hazel's governor.
White House should call for regime change in Iran and take sanction relief off the table, report says. Iran expert calls on Biden to support regime change in Iran. This is from Fox News just today.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know. President Joe Biden recently appeared to break from America's stance not to call for regime change in Iran when he said, "We're going to free Iran." His remarks to an audience in Los Angeles last Thursday were soon qualified by John Kirby, the National Security Council Strategic Communications Coordinator, who noted that Biden was expressing again our solidarity with Iranian protesters and not outlining a new approach. Since protests began in Iran immediately following the September 16th death of 22-year-old Masha Amini,
yeah.
However the fuck you say that, who was arrested by the country's morality police on September 13th for not wearing a hijab. More than 300 deaths have been reported. A new report by the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, FDD, Jesus Christ, Hoppe would roll, has called on Biden to go further in strengthening his support for the Iranian people. So this then goes into Fox, and this. So Khan believes the U.S. Where is it? America and its allies have issued increasingly robust statements criticizing Iran's human rights abuses while downplaying their previous emphasis on reviving the 2015 nuclear accord, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. He wrote re-entry into the deal would mean billions of dollars in sanctions relief for Iran. State Department made calculate. Okay, well, there was a part of this that I wanted to read specifically, but
it just seems to me. Well, I shouldn't say it seems to me. The neocons always wanted regime change there, and they want to weaken Iran because Iran stands up to like all of America's, I guess, crazy intervention in the Middle East. I'm not saying their government's good, but I think they're just looking for any excuse, literally any excuse, to invade Iran. Like, there are people like Dan Crenshaw that are looking for any reason, just like, hey, the wind is blowing in a different direction, must be Iran. If we vote, to go over there and get rid of them, we'll fix everything. And I don't think, I think the U.S. might try and start another proxy war or something.
Oh, I think that's exactly what's going on. I think they're getting ready to start CIA people over there fucking starting up little revolutionary groups, and they'll do exactly what they've done to every other Middle Eastern area. It seems pretty clear at this point that's the plan. Like, you've got all these stories, not only from this Fox one, which is just one I saw today, but you got like 2 or 3 other stories I've seen in like the last month, just straight up calling regime change a good thing. Like, Iran needs a regime change. That's what needs to happen here. Like, it's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can remember Iran fear-mongering since I was in the 8th grade. The devil works hard. Or I can remember Iran fear-mongering since I was in the 8th grade. The devil works hard, but neocons work harder. Well, I thought the hooker said Dave Smith was a neocon.
Yeah.
That fucking killed
he's not a very good one because he hasn't called for regime change.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. You can
pretend.
have your issues with someone, but at least learn their ideology to some extent.
Problem. Everything, all these attacks are just like random things. They're just like, you're racist, you're sexist, you're a neocon, you're this. It has no basis in reality as far as I'm concerned.
Left-leaning think tank warns party extremism could cost Democrats in midterms. Third Way called Democratic extremists out of touch on key issues ahead of the midterm election. So I thought this was a really interesting story, and kind of in the same thing as we were talking with the Rick Scott thing is similar to the shift happening, but this is involving this Third Way group, which is like a middle of the road Democratic group, think tank, coming out and saying basically that the Democrats are fucking up the left as fuck. So center-left think tank Third Way issued
think tank for that though.
I know, right? But issued a warning to Democrats. Well, I think the point of this is it's Democrats saying it to Democrats, and so I think that's an interesting thing to see. So, warning to Democrats on the eve of Tuesday's midterms, arguing that voters view the party as extreme and less concerned with the issues that matter to them the most. If Democrats manage to hold on to the House and Senate, it will be in spite of the party brand, not because of it, the organization wrote in a memo shared with Axios Monday. Despite a roster of GOP candidates who are extreme by any standard, voters see Democrats as just as extreme, as well as far less concerned about the issues that most worry them, the memo added. Third Way argued the Democratic Party's saving grace could come in the form of more moderate candidates, claiming their appeal may push them across the finish line in tight races with weak Republican challengers, which I actually agree with. Midterm elections are right around there. If this brand platform persists, Democrats will face an uphill climb in 2024 and beyond, the memo warned. Third Way claimed that while Democrats are considered more apt for handling issues such as climate change and abortion, voters are less concerned with these issues than those of the economy, inflation, and more. I mean, that's perfect to me. That's exactly what we've been saying. This is a group that has nothing to do with our fence, saying basically the exact thing.
Yes. Well, the problem, I think, is there are some reasonable Democrats out there, because I went door knocking, I've talked to people today, and there are Democrats who, in my opinion, are kind of...
Reasonable Democrats aren't in charge of the party.
But yes, that's the issue. That's the issue. There's none of them... there's none of them really out there that, I can really say. I would say maybe even Tulsi, but she left. So... yeah, that's the thing. I don't think they realize, though, that their base has just gone completely, out to lunch. I I'll actually, little story here. I was working the polls today, and I actually offended someone because I said, hey, if you know Eric Gerhardt and Matt Hackenberger, went up and said, hi, I'm Kareem. I just want to let you know about Eric Gerhardt and Matt Hackenberger. One lady said, aren't you just stealing votes from the other party? I said, no, I'm voting on principle, and at least I know that Eric Gerhardt is physically fit and capable, and that he's able to, get everything done, and he's principled. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I don't want to be mean or anything, but like John Fetterman had a stroke and is having cognitive problems, it seems. And it's not good to put somebody, just in an office just because
he's a bumbling fool.
She said, you don't know what he's done before that. You don't know this. I said, I don't, but that doesn't matter because he's having trouble just, speaking. Not that I want great senators or anything. I kind of, want senators.
Hello, good night.
But yeah, then she literally walked away. But her kid or whoever was with her said, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And he laughed. She didn't like that. Then she was walking back. And I said, have a good night, guys. And she just ignored me. So it seems they're just, no matter what think tank tells them, no matter what anyone says.
No, there's party loyalists. They're going to stay true to whatever party and whatever letter
John
is
Fetterman
next to the person's
come
name.
up.
Fetterman is a walking zombie who can't get through a sentence without a fucking earpiece in. So it's like, I don't...
People, and I said it's not good to make someone who had a stroke, like forget party, forget anything. If Dave Smith had a stroke before election, I wouldn't be like, yeah, put him up there. I'd be like, all right, can Spike.
That would be mean. It was mean. I thought it was mean.
Yeah, it was kind of rude for them to put him up there, knowing that he was going to have to go through the debates.
But that one lady got really...
That's so fucking mean. I'm not even some ableist, whatever. I just think, I don't even think he'd get the attention that he's gotten if they wouldn't have put him up there. And for better or for worse, I realize, but it's just become all about this man's stroke, and that would suck. His policies suck, his takes suck, but even if they were good, it would be overshadowed.
Yeah, Ron Paul had, unfortunately, and that freaked me out that one day watching Liberty Report, and he had a health issue, and I had one guy email me when I was showing him Eric Gerhardt's interview, and he said Ron Paul just gave up. I said he didn't give up, but he's older now, and his health isn't, where it used to be, and he can't run because of things like that. And Ron Paul is still cognizant, but I wouldn't want Ron Paul running now because obviously it's a lot of stress. And why would I want him to?
I think it's a...
So
it's
that's
just
a
across the board thing. Once that happens, I can't guarantee your mental fortitude at all.
I mean, that, and it's just pushing somebody who if I was sick or something like that, or if I was having health problems, and you're like, you have to do this extremely taxing job, I would be like, this is abuse. You're abusing people. Part of me does say hey, Biden and Fetterman are just being abused, and that's not right. Just to push somebody in there because you have an ideology you want to get, even if that person has cognitive problems, that's horrible. That's horrible. And the Democrats are willing to go to that length, just put anybody in there. I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do next? Put somebody who,
well, they already brought someone back from the dead, and his name's Joe Biden. So,
I swear they would run someone who's terminally ill. I'm terminally ill.
Adrenochrome. That's why they have adrenochrome.
Push him in. Vote for him. That's our candidate. I'm like, he's terminally ill. Leave him alone.
So AOC apologizes for not listing her pronouns on Instagram.
I like this one a lot.
Ocasio-Cortez said her pronouns fell off her Instagram account.
That's not the only thing that fell off.
AOC apologized for to her followers on Instagram for not listing her pronouns in her biography on the platform Tuesday. Ocasio-Cortez made the apology in response to a comment on her Instagram profile. She posted a brief video. She had once had her pronouns available, but said they somehow fell off. Please add pronouns to your IG profile. Thank you. So we can just go to the post. This is AOC apologizes for not leaving profiles.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. They used to be on there. Let me go in and check and see if I can add them. Sorry about that. They used to be there. I guess they fell off, but I'll put them on right now.
So did 40%.
They fell off.
Just about 40% of them fell off. Don't worry about it.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't understand the logic. See, okay. This is what I'm going to assume happened. And I'm just going to take a step out here. I'm going to assume she wanted to screenshot her Instagram profile page, but she didn't want the pronouns in there. So she removed them and screenshotted it to post her Instagram handle somewhere else. And then she just never put them back. And somebody finally called her on it. And she's like, oh, sorry. They just fell off. It's like Ethan Klein's Twitter and Kathy Griffin's. They just fell off.
Which I'm actually all for it, to be fair. I'm all for impersonating someone and not saying you're doing it. It's on my
it's very accurate, JC. AOC is created a persona. She literally auditioned for the role in one. Yeah, she pretty
did.
much is. Yeah.
But I was talking to Congressman Amash, because Amash has been in Congress. I think that makes him a pretty good authority on what goes on. And literally, he said they want actors. They want people who are good at reading scripts. And they want people who fit kind of even actor types. Like you got the Dan Crenshaw military veteran. I'm gonna fight socialism and communism. I'm gonna vote for it, but I'm gonna say that in all my ads. Then you get the AOC bartender. I'm just a working class girl. And people fall for those. And honestly, I think people take those personas and niches in. They're like, look, that's identified that, that person represents me. I'm working class, or I'm a military veteran or stuff. And they're conveniently located in New York and Texas. And then they get these actors in and they say, they don't want them reading legislation. Basically, all they know is the name of the bill and how the leadership's voting. Oh, Pelosi's voting like this? Okay, I'm voting yes. McConnell's voting yes. I'm voting yes.
So it looks like they just called Vance beating Ryan in Ohio. So that's interesting. Because and then I haven't seen anything else. I can share my screen. I'm on the Fox News one just because that was the one I was on at that.
I really don't see this red wave either, to be honest.
I mean, it's happening to an extent, but it's happening in weird states. And I also think it's and I mentioned this before, it's I don't know how much a red wave even matters, because the Republicans that are getting into the seats are not young enough to really make an effect.
Yeah, people Kareem. Someone got on me. They're like, Sarah Sandeby Huckers. I'm like, okay, you got a rhino. Woo! Okay, great.
Yeah, the problem I see is that I'm not seeing any and I hate to say it, but it would be one thing if some of the Republicans getting through were of the America First variety or on that side of the fence, but they're not. Most of the Republicans getting in place are the same old Republicans that have been in power for the last 20 years. Yeah. And so that's not going to cause any long-term change for the Republican side. I could see it making some short-term change, but again, that doesn't really equate to all that much.
I don't see making any change if it's rhinos. You know what they'll do? They'll say, oh, look, you got your red wave. We got rhinos in. And then some news outlets are going to say something stupid. And I hope Tim doesn't, because I like Tim Pool. But then, oh, look at all these Republicans. I'm like, okay, but there's no Blake Masters. There's no Carrie. And even I'm not crazy about Blake Masters or Carrie Lake. I think there's cheating going on in Arizona now with the malfunctions of those machines. If you didn't talk about that,
we watched the videos and covered it a little bit.
So is there cheating?
I don't think it's easy enough to say those things right off the bat, but I will say I think there is fuckery afoot in basically every place there's votes being counted with the way they're being counted today. The system that everybody is using, the way that it's not done manually, I don't really like. I think if you're voting, it should have to be counted by a human, and that vote should then be verified. You can verify it by a computer after the human counts it if you really want to, and then you can make there be a third counting of human error. But more people need to be involved than fucking robots. That would be my input for the whole thing, just in general. Like, you just need people actually counting the votes, and that isn't what is happening in most of the states. It's all being done by computer systems, and I don't like that.
With me. And that's a problem I have is, it's not. Well, actually, here's what I'd say. I'd say this. If people are worried about cheating, if people are worried about all these problems, and maybe the elections are too big, maybe state elections are even too big, maybe the only government that needs to exist is local, because then you can just have people line up and count them.
Yeah, but that's not the solution everybody's going to hear. Everybody's going to be scrambling to try to figure out a way.
It needs to be paper. So Louisiana, the screen itself is right. So you digitally click this, but whenever you're done, there's a paper that spits out. It's like a receipt, basically.
Right.
And they come and they get it from the back, so that way they have a physical and a digital stored in the machine. But if the machine goes down,
I like that. Right, I like that. I think the biggest problem.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, here in Alaska, it's you take a ballot, you stick the ballot in a thing, it scans your answer and then sends it off. That system's fine. I don't have a problem with that because it's just basically a scan of your ballot that you filled out. But a lot of these states that have huge volumes, big populations, are putting through systems to try to keep the lines, clear by basically having people cast their vote. The computer scans it all. It's all done within the system. And then those results get sent off, and it creates a digital form of it that is like a, paper readout that you could print, but they don't. And all you end up getting is a confirmation that your ballot was counted, but it doesn't really give you a confirmation of how the vote went, what it went into, how it was, what voting branch it went to, what, ID it was established, because there's a unique number that they're all given and a bunch of other shit. So the entire thing is fucking easy to get fucked with, in my opinion.
Okay, I was on a stream and I was talking, and I was saying, hey, look, there's one gold area. At least people know. Here's the thing. I don't even think that area will stay gold, but if it's there, people can look and maybe. And I said, hey, look, that's going to give the elites a little bit of a thing hey, a third party.
I mean, honestly, the only reason that was there is because there was virtually no votes counted yet.
Okay,
and so there was a couple votes.
It was okay. I'll take the wins where I can get them. I took time. I've gone to Reno. I went to Yale. I'm talking to people. Look, I'll take the wins, even if they're not big. I'll take the wins where.
It's a good moment for libertarians to post on social media.
Kind of like when you're working out and you're not seeing anything. Then you look in the mirror one day. You're like, oh, I got a little bit of gains here. You're like, fine. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not completely jacked, but I got that little bit okay, I lost it. And that's how I motivate myself. There's a word for it in Japanese called kaizen, which is you reward yourself for little tasks and oh, I hit this little milestone. And I think that's a good idea, as opposed to saying, oh, well, I have to get to the federal level or I have to do a 50-page essay. Well, I did 5 pages. Let me say, hey, that's awesome. To me, this is a libertarian kaizen moment. So I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to take the wins when we get them, but I don't think people should be lulled in any sense of success, because it doesn't. Long term, that's not going to bring change, and that needs to be our ultimate goal. So it's I see where you're coming from, but there's just. A lot of people are going to take it on social media and start running that around like it's this big thing, and it's just not.
I am, because to me, I will take. Look,
most. Let me read these chats here
to build morale.
Yeah, most Republicans are basically Fabian socialists. They're the release valve when the people are tired of the far left driving well over the speed limit. They're still taking us in the same direction, just slower and more subtle. Yeah, you're 100% right. This is the malice quote and that whole thing, but it is true. Like all the Republicans that are moving into office right now through this midterm are completely useless. They're not going to actually get anything done long term.
No.
Now, I do think it's possible. Had you seen a bunch of younger 25, 30-year-olds getting put in office throughout the Republican Party, you could have seen some shift because of the age difference there and the difference in ideologies. But I also don't think that would be a positive shift, where some people think it would be. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think the younger conservatives are far more apt to go to war and certain things like that. And so you're left with kind of this weird situation where it doesn't really matter whether the Republicans win or lose. The government's still on the same track. It's still going in the same direction. It's just getting there at a different speed. So it's just like at that point, the midterms are literally useless. Like they're not going to revive anything in the country. They're not going to bring any great change. They're just as useless as basically every good thinker thought they were throughout history. So
that's not wrong. That's not wrong. I'd like to think it is, but you're right. I don't think that they'll, bring articles of impeachment against Biden. I don't think they'll. I don't think his cabinet will invoke the 25th Amendment. I don't think they'll do anything. I don't think.
They'll write out the next 2 years blocking more of his bills and trying to stop him from doing things. And then Trump or DeSantis will win in 2024, but that won't cause any real change either. It might serve to lock out the Democrats for 10, 20 years.
I think,
but that's not a good thing. Like, that's really not. Like, I know people think it is, but it's like, that's not ultimately that good of a thing. Because it just gives the conservatives room to be more war hawks, more neocons, go right back to the same fallacies.
But here,
the
getting a DeSantis in 24 or 28, probably 24, would then be, I do believe at this point, it would be the split between the rhinos and the Republicans that chose.
Yeah, it would help fracture.
It would help fracture.
Yeah.
And I would and that to me would be like huge, because then people, he won't bow to them and he won't bow to the Democrats that back them. I really don't think he will.
Well, I'm sure we'd also see some bleed over in the Libertarian side.
He won't bow to them
because of that.
Here's the thing. It seems to me everything Trump does is essentially so people will like him. He's a reality TV star.
I'm talking about DeSantis.
Oh, DeSantis? I still don't know.
He would not. I don't think he would bow. He would, in words and in speeches, appease them, but his policies are not rhino policies. They're not. Most of them are not.
He's not great. Okay. I have some problems with DeSantis.
I'm not saying he's Jesus. I'm just saying he will be the final split between the. I'm telling you, he would be the split between the rhinos.
I will agree with you that if in 2024,
I don't think so.
If DeSantis won or got the Republican nomination, it would force a lot of the Republican Party to reevaluate, and I do think
they have to make a choice.
I think a good number of them would switch to being more independent voters who would side more with the Trump kind of camp, or you would see them fall off completely from the Republican side.
Without using an R, they would stop using R's.
Yeah, and that's what you need. They wouldn't
affiliate. Yeah, that's what you need.
So I do think it would help push towards that, because I think DeSantis and Trump disagree with each other on enough of the bigger topics, and they definitely disagree in the way to. Oh yeah, and they definitely disagree in like the physical kind of way of giving speeches, their kind of attitudes and way of speaking. CD, I think your microphone's cracking again.
Do they disagree on policy, though? I don't think they do.
Well, the problem with DeSantis is you can't really know his national policy because he hasn't really had any national policy.
I know some stuff I don't like.
I will say
super pro
I'll say DeSantis, yeah. Those are, so is Trump. You're not going to change that. If they're conservatives, that's just how it works. What you will find, I think, is that tell people our next name stands for retard. Yes, I think you'll find Trump fractures away people simply because certain opinions he holds on how to deal with public relations between other countries, how to deal with financial stuff. Trump runs everything sort of like a business because that's where his mindset's at. I don't know if DeSantis will do that same thing. I think he's more likely to just not make deals where Trump would. I think that's probably a good thing because it probably will lead to less spending in total. So there's some things I could point out that I think will help drive like a legitimate fracture, but ultimately I think it comes down to personality. Neither of them can keep up the persona on television and in speeches that they would have to keep up to be friends. And what I mean by that is, if DeSantis is the nominee, Trump has to attack DeSantis. And if Trump wins the nomination, DeSantis has to kind of be quiet. Like that's kind of the equation that's in front of both of them. Because if Trump gets the Republican nomination for 2024 over DeSantis, then DeSantis goes back to being governor with Florida. If Trump then shits on him endlessly, it'll make DeSantis hot lava and he will lose his election when he goes to run in Florida in 2028. So DeSantis will basically have no choice if he loses the nomination, but to just bow out silently and go back to Florida and do his own thing. Trump, if he loses the midterm and loses the nomination to DeSantis, would do the exact opposite. Because he loses nothing. He's just going to shit on DeSantis the entire time. He'll be shitting on him for those national policy issues. Like, that's what he'll attack him on. Like, oh, you're fucking up the economy. Oh, you did this. You did this. This is how you ran Florida. Like, that's going to be the kind of attacks. And no, I think policy-wise, every Republican is sort of similar. Obviously. But I think there are some major differences.
Hey. We got Massey and Rand Paul.
Yeah.
And Jim Buchanan.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about Buchanan. I can appreciate him. And I do think there are some things that I like here and there, but still. I don't know.
I just don't think the midterms really get anything done, and I think libertarians have come to that equation a lot sooner than other people because we're just like, well, it doesn't really matter whether you have a Democrat or Republican on board here. I mean, what does it actually do? We can look here. This is the Fox News headline here up, scroll that they have. 10 seats left in play. House has 178 seats left in play. Republicans, 158 in the House. Democrats, 99. With the Senate, 45 to Republicans plus 16. Plus 9 for the Democrats. So that's a 6-point margin lead. A 6-seat margin lead right now.
I think that's that big of
that's substantial. If you go by the metrics that we compared it to last 2 years, last election cycle, that's a substantial uptick. And you also have to keep in mind there's more of the Republican side counted than Democrats. That's fine, but it's looking to me like the Republicans are going to come out ahead with a pretty good margin. And it's tough to say whether they're going to get the House and the House and the Senate or whatever, both. But I think they probably will at this point. I think it is going to be basically exactly what it'll be. 2 years where Biden is unable to do anything because he's just locked out. And so it doesn't really matter whether they remove him from office or do anything. Yeah, until they find some uncounted votes in a closet somewhere. Yeah, it's camera equipment and coolers, guys. What's wrong with you?
Are they still using Dominion? Because actually, one guy, I was like, man,
Dominion is being used at a bunch of places. Did you hear about the motherfucker who bought a voting machine off eBay?
No.
I'm looking this up.
Hey, man.
This was nuts.
Are you ready for it?
I found it. We'll watch this. Check this out. So I fucking saw this a couple weeks ago. Lost my shit. So this is 2 months ago. That's when I saw this.
This morning, police in Michigan are investigating how it's possible that a voting machine used in the 2020 presidential election went missing and was then sold on eBay. CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan is live for us in Cadillac, Michigan with more. Wow, Donnie,
I believe
this
so.
is bizarre.
Yeah, Brianna, it's not every day we come to the Goodwill to talk about election security, but that is just where this very unusual story begins. Have a look.
Harry, what's in the box?
Holy fucking shit! They found this guy's American. They found this Irish guy's American twin to do this broadcast.
Top of the morning to you, laddie.
It's literally the Podunk Town version of the news reporter. It's fucking hilarious.
That is a device which can be configured either via voting machine as a diary or ballot marking device.
This box.
I don't even know what that guy is, because that wasn't a Southern accent.
Should not be here on Harry Hursty's kitchen table in Connecticut.
Yeah, I have been asked not to open it so that if it's a part of criminal investigation, it's preserved as evidence.
Hursty is an elections expert. He bought this voting machine for $1,200 on eBay.
As far as I was aware, it was a completely legal sale on my end.
The eBay seller is Ian Hudson, an Uber driver in Ohio.
In your eBay ad, you wrote Dominion ImageCast X voting machine from Michigan, own a piece of history. This voting machine was one of thousands used in the 2020 US presidential election.
But how did an Uber driver in Ohio get his hands on a Michigan voting machine? He bought it from Goodwill online.
From Goodwill?
From Goodwill!
Touchscreen computer. And I got to looking through the pictures, and in one of the pictures...
So if you don't know, Goodwill has an online outlet. And if they find something, and I use this, so I know a little bit about this, but if Goodwill finds something that they don't want to put in the public store because it's nicer, or because it's like a bulk item, or because they don't know what the fuck it is, they will literally just throw it on the Shop Goodwill website. It doesn't really work in Alaska. When I move to Florida, it'll be great, but in Alaska, the shipping costs, they rape you, they fuck you if you try to get anything shipped to Alaska. So you can't really use this site. But this motherfucker bought a Dominion voting machine on a Goodwill website.
I saw on the bottom corner of the screen it said Dominion voting. So I just on a whim bid on it, and I was the only bidder, and I won the auction.
So how much did you pay for the voting machine?
I paid $7.99.
I'm really surprised about this.
$8!
I mean, $8.
And he sold it for $1,200.
He made a good profit.
It turns out someone dropped the voting machine off at this Goodwill in northern Michigan. Who that person is remains a mystery, but the Goodwill put the voting machine for sale up on its website.
I wasn't even aware that they were supposed to be sold, let alone donated to Goodwill.
It is shocking that only when we started asking, does it belong somewhere? Only after that they realize it has been stolen.
They being the Michigan Secretary of State's office. One of Michigan's voting machines showed up on eBay.
Yeah, we immediately referred it to law enforcement.
Clearly it's raised some issues about the chain of custody and how these machines are secured.
We basically have 1,600 jurisdictions. Typically in between elections, clerks have the responsibility of securing all election equipment.
So that 70-some-year-old lady standing next to that machine, that clerk, that's the bitch who's going to be in charge of it.
Clerks have the responsibility of
that bitch right there with the that 70-year-old woman is going to be the one who's deciding how your machine is
illegal attempts to access it by unauthorized individuals.
Michigan is one of several swing states where authorities are already investigating unauthorized access to voting systems by people who are trying to prove the false claim the 2020 election was stolen.
Oh, so there's a bunch of these rabid Republicans out there buying up these machines to try to prove that these machines that weren't supposed to be sold were fucked with. Like that. Just the delusions of that. I saw that 2 months ago when that video came out, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this motherfucker bought a voting machine on a Goodwill website for $7. And I know the shipping on that thing must have been insane. He must have paid like $100 to ship that shit. Why am I listening to this prick Pong talk about my elections? It's a good question. You had an Irishman and a Dutch guy talking about American voting machines made in Venezuela. That's a fucking hell of a conversation right there.
That voting machine has seen some shit.
Yeah, no shit. This is some 2000 mule shit. Some 2000 voting machines. Who knew the mules could carry more than paper votes? They took the whole fucking computer. All right. Well, I'm going to close it out there, guys. I think this is perfect. We're at an hour. We will see y'all in the next show. Everybody go follow us. Lady ANCAP on Twitter, Kareem for Liberty, and Liberty Layton.
All right.
And we'll catch you guys the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Does that voting machine have Hunter Biden's documents on it?